Welcome back to another episode of Steele Talkin Sports. I am Jay Steele, your host, and let's get talking. We have moved on to week 3 of NFL football. Tonight we've got the Jets taking on... Who were the Jets taking on? The Patriots tonight at 8:15. But let's do a short recap of what we had last week and the week before. So to start week 1, my picks on the episode went a 10-6. So good start. Week 2 was not very good. Went 8-7-1 with the one push being that is the wrong push. Oh, the total was a push. I'm sorry. The push was Houston and Chicago. I think I picked that at -6. It ended Houston winning 19-13, so that would have been the only push. I think the line opened up at -6.5. I probably could have gotten 5.5, but I think when I picked it, I just picked the even number. So that's probably a little bit of my fault. As far as over-unders have gone so far, I have not picked any over-unders, but I am tracking them to see, if there's any angles to start paying attention to. Week 1, over-unders went 8-8, so even across the board. Last week, we saw some not good scoring from everybody. So over-unders in week 2, 5 overs, 10 unders, and 1 push. The one push being the Jets-Titans game that ended exactly on 41 points. So for 2024 so far, the over-unders are 13 overs, 18 unders, and 1 push. So we are starting to trend toward the under on the totals. So do pay attention to the totals this week, as I think the bookmakers have adjusted them down a little bit. So in that case, hitting your unders are going to be a little bit more difficult this week because the book has adjusted the market on that. Now, you might be in a situation where you can capitalize on some overs this week, provided that the teams can score any points. So that might be something to look into as well. But as far as my record goes, my picks, let's see, we are 18 wins or 18 picks right, 13 losses, and 1 push. So we're still up 5 picks, 5 units if you want to call it. But I think through 2 weeks, it's a pretty solid performance. So let's keep it rolling, and we'll just make some good picks, and hopefully we win some money this week. Again, remember, I don't know if I've mentioned this probably since my basketball episodes. Make sure you're betting with an amount of money that is reasonable for you, that's not going to break your bank, it's not going to put you in a difficult situation or gambling problem that we need to call 1-800-GAMBLER. Just be smart, bet with what you can. I know everybody wants to bet $100 or $150 and make a ton of money every game that you bet, but that's just not logical. Also, if you don't have the funds for that and you bet $100 on a game and you lose it, you're going to be really pissed off. So I'm still betting $5 and $10 a game. I have upgraded to $10 a unit. So that's what it is. If I choose to bet 10 games on Sunday when this comes around, I will spend $100, but I usually don't. I stay in the $30 to $50 range. I like to place 3 to 5 bets on Sunday, and I just let it roll. Usually those are for the 1 o'clock slate. If I hit 3 or 4 of them and I'm up a little dollars, then yeah, I'd go back in for the 4 o'clock slate. But if I lost all 5 of my bets in the 1 o'clock slate, you can probably bet that I'm just going to watch football the 4 o'clock hour. I'm not going to worry about betting it. So learn to have that, discipline with yourself and responsibility to your bills and your family, that this is just gambling. It's just fun. Serious bettors can play serious money, but I'm not a professional, so I'm not playing serious money. So let's hop into it. Do a quick recap of week 2. Buffalo took care of Miami on Thursday night, 31-10. Unfortunately, Tua got injured with another concussion, so we hope hope he is doing better and wish him all the best. Um, Chargers took down the Panthers 26-3. So that is one of the games that we got right. Carolina has since benched Bryce Young. I don't really think all that's his fault. I think a lot of it comes from the ownership in Carolina. They are not putting him in the right position to be successful. So hopefully he gets to sit behind Andy Dalton this week and maybe next week and just learns a little bit, get a bit more comfortable. But I think they've done him a disservice by putting him out there on the field so early with no offensive line protection. So, good win by the Chargers, 26-3. J.K. Dobbins had 131 yards on the ground, so really nice game from him. Next, the Saints came into Dallas and absolutely destroyed my Cowboys. That was pretty embarrassing. 44-19. Derek Carr led them on 6 straight scoring drives. So the defense that the Cowboys had in week 1 certainly did not show up in week 2. Very disappointed in that, but we move on to week 3. Tampa took down Detroit in Detroit. I was on the Tampa money line this game. It's not something that I said on the show. It was like something I decided on Sunday morning. I just liked Baker Mayfield. I liked Tampa, and I thought that Detroit was going to have some moments this year where, they got a little ahead of themselves. And I think this is one of those games. They were favored by 6.5 points. That just didn't seem right. It was up to 7.5, almost 8 at game time. I just thought that was so obnoxious. Tampa Bay is a much better team than that. That was very disrespectful. I was on the Tampa money line. That was a very nice win on Sunday. So super happy with that one. If you look at the box score, like Goff had 307 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 84. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 120 yards receiving. So, they should have won the game, but Tampa just made plays when they needed to. Next up, Indianapolis and Green Bay. Green Bay wins 16-10. This was surprising to me. I did not think that Malik Willis was going to be that serviceable since he just got picked up by Green Bay 3 weeks ago. So great job squeaking out the win. Honestly, I think just the Packers defense shut Indianapolis and Richardson down. Richardson couldn't throw the ball down the field. Jonathan Taylor wasn't making any big runs. So hats off to Green Bay. They just played a fantastic game. Cleveland and Jacksonville. Cleveland wins 18-13. This was an ugly game all around. Either team could have won this. I think there was rain in Jacksonville. It just looked bad. Honestly, on Red Zone, I did not see much of this game because it was the least interesting game of the 1 o'clock slate, by far. The Chargers-Panthers game had more action than that. So, honestly, don't have a lot of takeaways from that game because I just didn't see many plays on Red Zone from it. Next up, San Francisco goes into Minnesota and loses 23-17. This all comes down to me to that one 97-yard touchdown by Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold stood in the pocket, no fears at all of taking a safety. He had perfect protection, and he just launched a bomb to Justin Jefferson and just let him go get it. And he did. Great job by Sam Darnold and the entire Vikings team. They're on fire right now, 2-0. Shout out to my guy Drew, Vikings super fan. Miss you, dude. But yeah, great win by the Vikings. They are going to surprise some teams this year that they are much better than we gave them credit for. Next up, Seattle at New England. Tight game, 23-20 in overtime. Patriots covered the 3.5. Honestly, I didn't see a lot of this game either. I just think it wasn't being shown to me on Red Zone, or at the time when I was watching. Maybe I was distracted or eating or something because this wasn't something that popped up on my radar a lot. But as we can see, Geno Smith, 327 yards through the air. DK Metcalf, 129 receiving yards. They played a great game, but man, did Gerard Mayo make it tough on them. So shout out to New England, man. They're a much better team that we're giving them credit for. So they're doing a great job. Let's see. Next up, we have the Jets at the Titans. Jets squeaked that one out 24-17. I think this comes down to just Will Levis making mistakes because the Jets were serviceable, but they gave up 17 points on D, so that's solid, better than the majority of the league. But I still think that we're getting an underperformance out of Aaron Rodgers. We haven't seen his full A-Rod self yet, so still looking for that big game from him. Las Vegas went into Baltimore, squeaked out a win 26-23. They were down 10-plus points in the fourth quarter, and Minshew Magic decided to show up. Way to go, Gardner Minshew. That guy is so awesome to watch. He's not the most talented person on the field, but man, can he will his team to a win. I enjoyed watching him last year in Indianapolis. He's doing the same thing with Vegas this year. Super, super job by Vegas and Antonio Pierce getting that W. That's a tough place to play in Baltimore, so hats off to them. Great job. Last up, last up for the 1 o'clock games, New York Giants went into Washington and somehow scored 3 touchdowns, but could not kick a field goal because their place kicker was hurt, and they lost by a field goal, 21-18. That is so sad. You can score 3 touchdowns, but you can't kick field goals. Great job by Jaden Daniels getting his first W. The Giants suck. They're a terrible organization. Moving on. 4 o'clock games, the Rams got absolutely throttled by the Cardinals, 41-10. This game was over before halftime. I think if I remember right, Arizona scored 3 straight times to go up 21-0. Kyler Murray had a great game. James Conner had a great game. And Marvin Harrison had 4 catches for 132 yards and 2 tutties. Jesus, man. I get it. The Rams defense probably wasn't that good, but he went off. So shouts out to Marvin. Had a bad first week. Showed out with a great second week. So good job. Pittsburgh went on the road to Denver. Didn't put up anything special, but did squeak out a win 13-6. Honestly, I have nothing to say about this game because there's no points scored. It's not worth watching or talking about. Moving on, Cincinnati at Kansas City. What a game that was. Both teams looked bad. Both teams looked good. And then Patrick Mahomes showed up to play. Now, I will say he got a pretty favorable call on that last drive, the pass interference that I think was a 4th down or a 3rd down. But the guy was there pretty early. He got there way before the ball, so I'm not mad about the penalty. But like everybody talks about, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs seem to get those kind of penalties more than anybody else. But they squeaked out a win. They did not cover the 5.5, so that was a sad loss for me. Next up, we have the Sunday night game, Chicago at Houston. Houston wins 19-13. I honestly thought there would be more points scored in this game. I thought maybe the defenses would just have some lapses in coverage, and you'd have, Tank Dell or DJ Moore get behind the defense and go for a deep one. But it was very much like a ground and pound game, and just grind it out. So that was kind of a boring Sunday night game to watch. And then on Monday night, we had I don't even know how to describe it. It was a good game. Atlanta kind of controlled the first half. Philly controlled the second half. And then I mean, Saquon could have put the game away with the 3rd and 3 under the 2-minute warning, but he took his eyes off the ball, he dropped it, and Kirk Cousins looked very good in that game-winning drive, throwing the ball all over the field, had no issues, and just led his team down to a perfect drive. Um, I was very surprised by that. I didn't think Kirk Cousins had that in him. I honestly didn't think that he was capable of putting together a drive like that. So I don't know if it was more Kirk Cousins or more bad Philly defense. But either way, I lost that bet too. So that was a tough way to end the week. But that is your recap. So let's move on to our fresh picks for week 3. First up, we have the Patriots at the Jets at 8:15. This will be on Amazon Prime, I guess. Pardon me. If we go over to OddsShark, my favorite website to get trends, get their computer models, they have the score at Jets 24, New England 15. In that case, the Jets will be covering the -6, and they've got the over hitting at 38.5. If we look at these two teams, the Jets are averaging 19 points a game, the Patriots 16. The Jets 198 passing yards per game, New England 120. Rushing yards, New England's got the advantage, 170-68 for the Jets. Time on the field being dominated by the Patriots, 34 minutes to an average of only 21 minutes for the Jets. And number of plays as well. 64 snaps average, and New York Jets 50. So right now, it's kind of even, but I mean, in rushing yards, time on the field, number of plays, it all points to New England. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because New England is playing Jacoby Brissett. They do have a first-year head coach. So how much does all that mean? Not a lot. Some. I don't know. What I will say is the New England injury report looks pretty hefty. David Andrews, center, questionable with his hip. Jabril Peppers, safety, questionable shoulder. Dietrich Wise Jr., questionable Thursday, shoulder. Oshane Zimenez, out, knee. Mike Onyanwu, questionable Thursday, wrist. Vidarian Lowe, downgraded to out, his knee. I mean, they got a bunch of guys out. I don't know how impactful all these guys are. A lot of their names don't ring a bell, but on the other side for the Jets, C.J. Mosley, questionable with a foot. DJ Reed Jr., upgraded to probable with a knee. Everybody else is good to go. So obviously New England, week 1, they beat Cincinnati in that shocking win. Last week they squeaked out a cover against Seattle. But this division rivalry, we know what it was when Tom was with the Patriots, but that is not the Tom Brady Patriots anymore. This is Jacoby Brissett, Gerard Mayo, and if we ever see him, Drake May. As far as these teams stack up right now, let's see. The Jets are, 15th in points scored with 43. New England is 20th with 36 points. Neither team has been very effective moving the ball on offense. The Jets have only gained 531 yards on offense so far. The Patriots have gained just 600. So not that great so far. Um, Obviously, I think the Patriots have been better running the ball. Um, the Jets have not. Passing offense, Jets are only completing 62% of their passes for 362 yards so far, 4 TDs and 1 interception. So, okay, Rodgers isn't looking that bad. On the other hand, the Patriots, 58% completion so far, 245 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. So the Patriots are not relying on throwing the ball. We know that. Um, let's see. They are running the ball at basically the second highest clip so far. They've had 75 run plays. Only second to New Orleans was 76. 355 yards, 2 touchdowns. Longest is 45, averaging 4.7 yards per attempt and 177 yards per game. They have fumbled twice, though. So, expected points contributed by the rushing offense, as per Pro Football Reference, is 5.47 points per game. That's pretty good. Yeah, in this game, I don't know, kind of a hard matchup. I kind of feel like the Jets could stumble at home against a divisional opponent. I kind of also feel like the Jets could demolish the Patriots at home. So, not really certain where I want to stand on this pick, but I have to. There's one thing I want to look at because I saw this coming up on the TV last night, and I wanted to look it up when I got home. So Aaron Rodgers has like incredible numbers on Thursday Night Football. So Aaron Rodgers has a career record of 11-6 on Thursdays in his career. Obviously, all those games were with Green Bay, but listen to this. His touchdown to interception ratio, 37 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. That's insane. He absolutely murders on Thursday nights. Let's see. No, I don't want an ad. There we go. So yeah, like that stat alone just makes me want to. Sorry. Stupid ad. Yeah, I mean, 37 touchdowns to 5 picks, like that is just an unreal number. Yeah, I'm going to be taking Aaron Rodgers minus the 6 tonight. That would be the way I would be leaning on that game. As far as the total is set at 38.5. It is New England on the money line plus 225 and New York Jets minus 275. I would, based on the trends so far with these two teams, I would lean under, but with the total only being at 38.5, I don't know. It's just too low for me. It's too low for me. This is not an Iowa football game. I cannot trust 38.5. So I would be picking the over at that low of a number, but do with that what you wish. Next up, we move on to hold on, sorry. Shut up. All right, sorry. Ah, random ads that just play when you leave the web page. Freaking annoying. Okay, I'll get this out of the way. Let me get this. All right, now we're back. Game 2. We have Cleveland hosting the New York Giants. Cleveland minus 6.5 is the spread on the money line. New York Giants plus 240. Cleveland minus 300. Over under another 38.5. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because Daniel Jones sucks. The New York Giants are a terrible organization. And if Cleveland can't cover minus 6, then they are the next worst team in the NFL. Yeah, I'm not going to spend any more time on that game. Next up, we have the Chargers going on the road to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Obviously, Justin Fields is still the quarterback. He's not put up significant numbers or any numbers, but he does have 2 W's. Now, I guess this Charger team with the Jim Harbaugh defense, what are we going to get out of Justin Fields going up against Harbaugh? Not quite sure. I do note that Herbert seems like he was a little limited this week, dealing with a foot injury, I think. So for that reason being, I just worry about LA being able to put up enough points. And on the road in Pittsburgh is no joke. We all know how tough Mike Tomlin is with his defense. TJ Watt is going to be flying to the football. And if you have TJ Watt and he's healthy, I don't think anything is going to stop him from destroying Justin Herbert. So, I really like Pittsburgh in this matchup. Over-under is set at 36. Might be a really easy under. That could easily be the same score that Pittsburgh had last week, 13-6. Very much in play, the under, and Pittsburgh minus 1.5 for sure. Definitely like Pittsburgh in this spot. I just think Mike Tomlin's defense is too much for Justin Herbert. Maybe if this game was the other way around, like in LA, I would believe in LA. But Pittsburgh at home, you got the terrible towels flowing. They're going to be riled up because they're 2-0. That's going to be a very lit environment for Sunday afternoon. Moving on, Eagles go on the road to take on the Saints at 1 o'clock. Saints are favored minus 2.5. This is a nice thing to see that the Eagles are not the favorite, even though they're 1-1 and they're on the road. But the Saints are 2-0. The Saints are the best offensive performing team so far. They've scored 91 points. Next at second place is Arizona with 69. So New Orleans has, figured it out on offense way earlier than everybody else. Philly on the money line plus 125. New Orleans on the money line minus 145. 49.5 is the total. Quite different from our first 3 games in the mid to high 30s. After what I saw Monday night against the Falcons, I don't know how you can back this Philadelphia team on the road plus 3. And after what we've seen from New Orleans for the first 2 weeks, I don't see any reason why their offense at home on the Superdome turf is not going to be electric again. So, right now I just don't think that Philly is firing on all cylinders. Their defense looks so bad against Atlanta. It was just running. It was just running the ball. Atlanta just ran it down their throat the entire game. Kirk Cousins made some passes when he needed to, but he didn't do anything special, and he didn't have to get outside of the pocket. So you can tell that the Eagles are not getting any pass rush on the quarterback. And if Derek Carr has a clean pocket to throw the football, I think that he's going to do the same things that he's done the last 2 weeks, which is just air it out downfield. He killed the Cowboys with the deep crossing routes in week 2. I could tell the Cowboys were playing a ton of man-to-man, and if you've got a faster receiver on a DB playing man-to-man, as soon as he breaks in on his in-breaking route, he's got you beat, and you just need to lay the ball out there in front of him and let that guy run forever. And that's what Derek Carr did. It looked very much like a copycat of the Green Bay Dallas playoff game, because that was the same thing that Jordan Love did to us. Deep in routes, deep outs, and just crossing routes for days. Every single big play was a crossing route. So Dallas has to find something there, but if New Orleans can exploit that with Philadelphia, I see this being another romp and New Orleans going to 3-0. So New Orleans -3 for me. God, it feels weird that I've taken 4 favorites in a row to start. Well, here we go. This is not going to be one. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers going on the road to the Tennessee Titans. God, this is going to be my first dog, and then this is going to be the one where Will Levis plays a good game. So 1 o'clock, OddsShark has the predicted score at 22-22. So basically nothing there. The spread is, when I wrote this down the other day, the spread was Tennessee -3. I'm seeing it now at 1.5. So let me check the DraftKings. Waiting. Okay, so currently the line is Tennessee -2, which Vegas, what are you doing to us, man? Like, how is a team that is 0-2 that has lost in fantastic ways? Will Levis looked terrible in week 1 against the Chicago Bears, and he he made some of the dumbest mistakes you could ever see. And then, I don't want to say he did the same thing in week 2, but he just didn't do enough to win. But what is this line, man? This stinks. Like, with the way that Green Bay played defense last week against a more explosive Indiana team than Tennessee, I'm not understanding this line. Like, how do you think that Tennessee is favored after what you just saw from a serviceable Malik Willis, a solid Green Bay defense, and Matt LaFleur, who can still call plays even when his best player isn't on the field? Jordan Love was back at practice this week. I thought that was pretty miraculous. I thought he was going to be out 4 to 5 weeks. He's only been gone for 1 game, but he was seen like running at practice and being pretty active in practice yesterday. So I don't know if Jordan Love is on the field, even if he's not. I like Green Bay. I like Green Bay. Going Green Bay plus the 2. I just think they're the better football team right now. Moving on. Next up, we have Chicago at Indianapolis. Indy -1 on the spread currently. This should be a pretty close matchup. This will be an interesting game to watch with two. We can call Anthony Richardson a rookie as well, since he only played 4 games last year. 2 young quarterbacks, put it that way. I just watched that clip from the end of the Bears-Texans game where C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams had a little chat, and it seemed like Caleb didn't want to be there. He just wanted to shake hands and get off the field, which is probably because he just lost the game. Like, he's not used to losing a lot. So I understand that. But CJ seemed like he was trying to be like the bigger man. And I know he's 1 year older, been in the league, one more year, but it seemed like he was trying to speak to Caleb as if he was like a 5 or a 10-year vet. That's not necessarily the case. He's only a second-year vet. But it seemed like that was a weird interaction, and Caleb took it the wrong way. Now, is that going to affect him? I don't really think so. But what I will say is a tough Sunday night loss against the Texans. Now you have to go on the road to Indianapolis, which is a tough place to play. McAfee likes to call it the Loud House, or Loud House, if you didn't understand that. But I just think the home crowd advantage is going to be a little much. The dome there in Indianapolis can get pretty rowdy. And I think that Chicago and Caleb Williams are going to have trouble calling plays. Not necessarily being efficient, which I think that will be an issue too, but I think just getting the play call in. You see it all the time, like the quarterback has to cover the ear holes on the helmet so that they can hear better when the play call is coming in from the coach. I just think this is going to be one of those scenarios that Caleb and the Bears have not practiced a lot in the offseason. Now, I may be wrong. He may look super good on the road in a dome in a hostile environment. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is a easy smash spot on Indianapolis. The line's only -1, so if you take the money line, if you take the -1, it's about the same. Obviously, a 1-point win would burn you and you would get a push, but I don't see that happening. I see Indy winning this game comfortably. So give me Indianapolis -1. Moving on, we have, what's our next game? Houston at Minnesota. This should be a very fun game to watch. Here we go. Odd Shark has a predicted score, even 21-21. Let's hope we don't get a tie. Wow, this is interesting. The head-to-head, the last 5 these teams have played, Minnesota has won all 5, but the last game took place on October 4th, 2020. I mean, we can't really read into a lot of that because these teams have changed drastically. All new head coaches, all new quarterbacks. So most of these Minnesota games were, even only the last 2 are October 2020 and then October 2016. And then before that was December 2012. Yeah, basically these teams play every 4 years. So everything has changed since then. So nothing really to look into with the head-to-heads. Any injury report notes? Joe Mixon is questionable with an ankle. Nico Collins questionable with a hip. Looks like that's all for Houston. Justin Jefferson is questionable with a quad, and Jordan Addison for Minnesota is questionable with an ankle. And then linebacker Dallas Turner questionable with a knee. So that's not good. Obviously, you don't want your number 1 wide receiver and then your second or third to both be injured while you're hosting a pretty potent Houston team. Obviously, Houston is 2-0. They have not covered either of their games so far. They won by 2 when the spread was 3, and then they won by 6 when the spread was 6, so they pushed. Minnesota, on the other hand, destroyed the Giants, and then 4-point underdog outright win against San Francisco last week. This is a tough one. This is going to be a really good game. This is going to be a tough matchup. I don't really know. If the injury report stays the way it is and Justin Jefferson doesn't play, I would be on Houston. if Justin Jefferson plays, I would be on Minnesota. So that game, it all comes down to Justin Jefferson. Wait until Saturday night or Sunday morning. Right now, I'm going to say Houston minus 2.5. Actually, no. I'm going to go Minnesota plus 2.5. It's something about that Kevin O'Connell system that he just gets it done. It's like a Kyle Shanahan type of thing that, like, his team is under talented compared to some of the other teams. His quarterback play shouldn't be as good as it is. His defense is playing above their pay grade. But I don't know. I can't go away from him right now. So yeah, give me Minnesota. Last up in the 1 o'clock slate, we have the Denver Broncos going on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa is favored minus 6.5. This could be a pretty ugly game, if I'm being honest. OddsShark has the predicted score at 19. Denver 19, Tampa 23. I just can't agree with that. Not that the Broncos have been super bad, but Bo Nix hasn't looked great. I mean, he's made some plays and then he's not made some plays. But Tampa has looked really good. Obviously, who they beat up on in week 1? Washington, yeah, they beat them by 17. Huge 7.5 point underdog last week against Detroit. Went on the road and won. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like jumping off the page at me that makes me want to back Denver. In their 2 games, their total offense has been 231 yards against Seattle when they scored 20 points. But remember, 4 of those points came on 2 safeties by the Seahawks. So really, if you take out the 2 safeties, that game is 26-16. Not that great, with only 231 yards of total offense. Last week, they got a little bit better against Pittsburgh, but they scored less points. They scored 6 points, and they had 295 yards of total offense last week. It's not very good. Tampa, on the other hand, now I know it was a grinded-out game against Detroit, a lot of field position. They only had 216 yards of offense. But against Washington, 392 with 280 yards passing, and 4 of those were touchdown passes by Baker Mayfield. So it's simple. Tampa has too much offense. They have a better defense. Yeah, Todd Bowles and the Bucks all the way. Minus 6.5. All right, now we get to what I really wanted to talk to. The Carolina Panthers going on the road to the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, if you have not heard, Bryce Young has been benched by the Panthers brass. They are starting Andy Dalton in quarterback this week. Really bad situation for Bryce Young. It is not his fault that he gets destroyed that way every time he's put out there on the field. I think this is a product of the Panthers not drafting properly and also just not caring about the protection and production of their young quarterback. With that being said, will the Panthers be better with Andy Dalton? Maybe a little bit, but can they cover 5 points on the road at Las Vegas? I doubt it. I very highly doubt it. So Vegas -5 for me. I said this to a buddy last week, and we didn't do it, even though we knew we should. Even if Andy Dalton is starting at quarterback, it doesn't really change my mind because the rest of the Carolina Panthers team is so bad. But for every game the rest of the year, I'm going to place 2 bets on the Carolina Panthers game every week. I'm going to be on the Raiders -5, and then I'm going to be on the Carolina Panthers team total under whatever the team total is for the Panthers, I'm going to play the under because I just don't think that this team is good enough to put up points. And I think the market is overestimating what they could be because of the weapons that they do have with like Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson. But if the quarterbacks can't throw them the ball, then they can't score points. So let's see. Carolina Panthers team total looks like, depending on your sports book, 16.5, 17.5. I want to play the under. So under 16.5 is plus 110 odds. Under 17.5 is minus 122. I will be taking the under 16.5 because they could score 2 touchdowns and 2-point conversions, and that be it, and I win the bet. Yeah, I'm going to start doing it this week. I'm going to see how profitable it is because I just don't think the Panthers are going to be able to score enough points throughout the entire season. So until they prove it to me, I'm gonna bet this every week. But Vegas -5. There we go. Next up, we have Miami going on the road to Seattle. Obviously, Tua, another concussion. So Miami is going to be starting Skylar Thompson. And they have Tyler Hundley as a backup. Geno Smith, I'm seeing, has connected on 70% of his passes to DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett. So it seems like Geno's got 3 weapons to throw to. He's got a pretty good rapport with all 3 of those guys. So it seems like maybe Geno has corrected some of the mistakes that he had and back to throwing the football like he knows how. As far as this game, I just with Tua out of the game, we saw this last year or the year before with Skylar Thompson. Like, he just can't put up enough points. I know he did have, I guess it was the playoff game against Buffalo. And he made it an interesting game, but I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up here on the road in Seattle with the 12th man. It's going to be brutal up there. There's probably going to be some rain. The Dolphins, I don't think they like playing in the rain. If it's not 85 and sunny, they don't play well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks here minus the 4.5. It seems like a square play. But, I mean, when you have quarterback injuries and these numbers are so low, like, I just don't – I mean, we don't trust Skylar Thompson. No offense to the guy, but, like, we don't trust him to go on the road to the 12th man and be able to cover a 4.5. No, thank you. Here we go. Now's where things get ugly. Now's where things get really ugly. The Ravens go on the road to Dallas to play the Cowboys. The Ravens are 0-2, but they do have one of the best defenses in the league, and they do have Lamar Jackson. That's scary. Obviously, after last week, Dallas losing at home in that fashion, they're going to be pissed off. They're going to want to stick it to anybody that walks in their building, and it just so happens that it's the Ravens. Oh, man. This is a tough one, and I don't really like it because it's my team, and I have to make a choice. Obviously, the Ravens are much better on the ground with Derrick Henry than we are with Zeke or Rico Dowdle. But I don't think that this is going to be a Derrick Henry day. I honestly don't think that Baltimore is as good as advertised. Now, honestly, after the last week, I don't think we are as good as advertised either. But in this matchup, um, I think the Dallas secondary can keep up with the Baltimore receivers. And also, if we just plug the gaps, I don't think Henry is going to run over us. Now, he may bowl over some people for sure. Um, but they don't have the speed running the ball. Now, they do with Lamar Jackson if he chooses to run the ball. But I think we saw after last week, he was trying to do too much, and it cost the team the game. So I think he needs to take a step back, stop trying to make every play himself, and the team will be better for it. But if he chooses to keep with that same mindset, I think Dallas covers the +1. Dallas wins outright. Um, it's hard to make this decision. It's not like a clear cut one where I feel really confident with my team. But the Ravens haven't won a game yet, so I can't trust them. So Dallas +1 doesn't feel good, but that's the way we're going. Next up, Detroit goes on the road to Arizona at 4 o'clock. Detroit is favored -3 on the road. I know they're on paper a better team, but Arizona played a really tough game in Buffalo week 1, and then they absolutely destroyed a divisional opponent in week 2 in the Rams. And then the Lions, I mean, they looked solid in week 1, but in week 2, not so much. Because they played the Rams in week 1. That was a good game. I mean, Cooper Kupp had a nuclear game. Puka got injured. Jameson Williams had a touchdown that game. But man, like, the Cardinals are a pretty good team, dude. And after last week with Marvin Harrison going off, Arizona putting up 489 yards on offense. Damn, they rushed for 231 last week? Holy crap. Yeah. We're taking the Cardinals here. Kyler Murray looked good. Marvin Harrison looked good. James Conner looked good. I really liked what I saw out of that Arizona team last week, and I did not like what I saw in the second half from Detroit. So I just don't think Detroit has it all together. I think Arizona does. Arizona's played 2 really good games. They got the cover in Buffalo in week 1, and they should have won that game because they were up 17-3. I mean, Arizona's a much better team than this line is giving them credit for. This should be a 1.5, maybe a pick 'em. Arizona's much better than this right now. Much better. Next up, we got another divisional matchup. San Francisco on the road at the LA Rams. San Francisco is favored -7. I mean, right now, I don't know how you could lay 7 points with the Niners. They don't look good. No, not at all. Purdy has looked good. But McCaffrey being out is showing its teeth. Deebo Samuel is now injured. That's going to show its teeth. Jordan Mason and Greg Kittle cannot do it on their own because Brandon Ayuk is still not up to speed yet because he held out of training camp for however long it was. San Francisco didn't look awful last week against Minnesota, but they didn't look good either. And they had moments in week 1 against the Jets where they didn't look that good. So, I think this is going to come back to bite them. Now, the Rams, they've got their own, wave of injuries. Jesus Christ. Now Cooper Kupp is out too, out indefinitely with the ankle. Puka's on IR. Wow. Man. Damn it, dude. See, I really want to be on the Rams this game, but I can't trust it if nobody's going to be on the field to catch the ball for Matthew Stafford. Jesus. All right, let's see what we got on the injury report on the ESPN. Just give me 1 second here. Rams, Niners. Yep, Cooper Kupp is listed as doubtful for this game on Sunday. Oh, man. McVay said on Wednesday that the Rams aren't sure whether Cooper Kupp will be placed on injured reserve. Damn it, dude. Guys had 18 catches on 27 targets, 147 yards, and a touchdown. And now he is not going to be available. Well, that might... No, I'm gonna stay taking the dog. I don't like it, but I'm going to take LA +7 and just move on because I don't trust San Francisco right now. All right, moving on. We've only got 3 games left. We've got the Sunday night, and then this week has 2 Monday night games. So first up, Kansas City travels on the road Sunday night to the Atlanta Falcons. Chiefs -3.5. Total is set at 46.5. And OddsShark has a predicted score of Falcons 22, Chiefs 21. How about that? That is the exact score they just beat Philadelphia by. Isn't it? This is going to be a good game, I think. Yeah. It's exactly what they beat Philadelphia by. Oh, man. This is a tough one because the Chiefs have not looked very good. I mean, they've looked good on certain drives, but not the entire game. And then Kirk Cousins is like, well, he looked good for like one half of football, but what do we really make of that? Let's see. Injury report. Just see Antonio Hamilton, cornerback for Atlanta, questionable Sunday with a groin injury. Marquise Brown for Kansas is Hollywood Brown on IR. Isaiah Pacheco on IR. This is a tough one because Kansas City, folded against Cincinnati, gave up the lead, had to get a pass interference to be able to get them into field goal range. I just don't know, man. I mean, before last week, if you go back to, you have to go back to 17. You have to go back to week 14 of last year for the last time that Kansas City didn't cover a spread. That was Christmas Day 2023 when they played Las Vegas. They were favored by 11 and they only won 20-14. Since then, they've favored by 7, covered. 3.5 point dog, covered. 4.5 point favorite, covered. 2.5 point dog, covered and won. 4.5 point dog, covered and won. 2 point dog in the Super Bowl, covered and won. Minus 2.5 against the Ravens, 1. Minus 6.5 against Cincinnati, 1. And that was the first time they haven't covered a spread. So they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've won 8 games in a row since their last loss on Christmas Day. And before last week, they had covered the 7 previous games. So the Chiefs are on a roll right now, literally on a roll. Atlanta, obviously, they won last week and they covered, but they lost in week 1 against Pittsburgh. And did not cover because they were the favorite. I don't know. This is a tough one to gauge. I really think that Kansas City has just too much pass rush. And if Kirk Cousins is not full strength, then I just don't see that being a good thing for anybody. So, yes, give me Kansas City minus the 3.5. And let's keep it pushing to these Monday night games. I've been talking for just about an hour, so let's get this wrapped up, and I can go do something else with my day. Moving on, we have 2 Monday night games. So this is their first iteration of this year. I'm pretty excited to see how this shakes out. If you got like the split screen on YouTube TV, that'll be pretty cool. Even though like by the time game 2 starts, the first one will be at halftime. So we'll see how it works. But in the first game, we have the Jaguars on the road at Buffalo. Buffalo minus 5. Total is set at 45.5. Jacksonville looks bad. Jacksonville looks really bad. I don't know if it's Trevor Lawrence or if it's Doug Peterson or if it's just the whole team, but they don't look good at all. They kind of look like the Bad News Bears of football. Bad News Jaguars, whatever you want to call them. They just look pretty bad. Come on, dude. Refresh. Do what you need to do. On the other hand, Buffalo, 2-0, looking pretty strong. Who did they play last week? Oh, yeah, they played Miami on Thursday. So Buffalo's been rested up for a while. Jaguars obviously played on Sunday. So I think, Buffalo, like getting back from Miami, they had the weird issue with the Tua injury during that game. I'm sure some of the guys were a little shook up about that. Trevor Lawrence only has a 50% completion rate this year with only 1 passing touchdown. That is so bad. Jacksonville is averaging 15 points per game. Buffalo's averaging 32.5. Yeah, I don't think there needs to be a lot of discussion on this one. I will just say tight end for Jacksonville, Evan Ingram, questionable. Darnell Savage, safety, questionable. Buffalo, just Dwayne Smoot is questionable. Jacksonville with a toe. Taron Johnson, cornerback, questionable with a forearm. And that looks about it. This is clear cut. Buffalo minus 5. Don't even think about it. And last up, the 8 o'clock game on Monday night. We have, in God's name, do you have these two teams playing each other on Monday night? You have Washington on the road at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is favored minus 7.5. The total is set at 47. I think this is too big of a number for Cincinnati. Man, I don't know. It's tough. See, like, I think to week 1 when Washington played Tampa, and I thought the same in that game. I thought, like, Tampa on the road, like 4.5, 5.5, whatever that was too much. 3.5 is all that it was. And they destroyed Washington by 17 points. I know the Bengals on paper should be a better team, but I just have not seen it out of them yet. I mean, where was week one? Yeah, they lost to New England in week one. They lost last week to Kansas City. I know that was a tough one, but still, they lost. Like, I'm not saying the Bengals are going to lose this game, but I don't know if they can cover 8 points. I don't have a lot of faith in them. Where are we at on dogs and faves? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 favorites to 5 underdogs so far. Yeah, let's roll the dice and go Washington plus 7.5. I like Jaden Daniels. I think they're starting to get it together. Right now, I just can't trust Cincinnati. They look like a pile of dog shit. Be honest. They look like a pile of dog shit. I don't see how a team that is 0-2 can be laying 7.5 points. It just get out of here. All right. That is all the games. That is all the picks that I have. Let's run through what I think. Let's pick my top 3 favorite bets of the week. Top 3 favorite bets. Indianapolis -1. Let's go Tampa -6.5. And I'm actually going to make 4 favorite bets. Pittsburgh -1.5. Indianapolis -1. Tampa -6.5. And Arizona +3. Those are my 4 favorite plays of the week. I will be playing all of those myself. So, yeah, there we go. This Thursday is roughly 10:15 a.m. I will get this posted before lunchtime so that anybody that cares to watch this can watch it before the Thursday night football game. Also, you will have 2 or 3 days to watch and listen before Sunday football kicks off at 1 p.m. on the 22nd. Thank you so very much to anybody who listens to this. I really appreciate it. I understand I'm not the best at talking in front of a camera and being on YouTube, but I'm trying to get better. Please like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment. Anything helps. Just push me farther on this journey. I want to get better at this. I would love to ditch my regular day job and be able to do this for a living. So any support that any of you can give me is greatly appreciated. Again, follow me on YouTube at Steele Talkin Sports. You can follow me on Twitter at Steele_Talkin. I will try to be a bit more communicative on there. I tend to get distracted during midweek and I don't pay attention to Twitter. I really only pay attention to it on Sundays when I watch football. So I will try to get better. I want to be a bit more transparent. Sometimes I just kind of hide behind my wall. But I will get better. As for the picks go, if you tail any of the picks, I wish you the best. Bet with an amount of money that you can afford, not something that is going to break your bank or make you not be able to pay your bills this week. I want us all to grow our accounts, but grow it small. And don't try to be in a hurry because this is not a race. This is like a long marathon. So you just got to take it slow, and we will enjoy some football starting with this Thursday night game tonight. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm out.